Hello YouTube. Thank you for tuning into my channel, A New Day 365. My name's Jim and this is my channel on addiction, relapse, and recovery. Today is December 28th. I am 42 days sober, 12 days off the cigarettes, and I'm feeling pretty good. That's no hypes, no pipes, no booze, no pills, not even the green. I'm staying clean. um, yeah, I feel pretty good for the most part. Christmas is over. It came and went. I had Christmas in rehab. I'm still at the treatment center. I'm about 4 weeks in, got about 2 months to go, and things are okay. I didn't get to spend Christmas with my kids, and it was a bummer. But I did watch them open their presents on, over a FaceTime app. So I got to see their happy faces, and that meant a lot to me. That was good. So the only thing I'm missing is holding them. So, but I'm wearing the shirt that my little girl made me. I'm wearing that today, and I'm missing her hard. But it is what it is. I'm building a better dad for them. So, short-term pain for long-term gain. That's what they say. Uh, Other than that, one of the guys in the house made an awesome dinner. He went out and bought all the food, and he spent all day Christmas making a nice supper for us, and I'm really grateful for that. And it's one of the best Christmases I've ever had, actually. I didn't have to go to family's house for dinner, and there was none of that awkwardness that I've always felt over the years. And I've heard it said in meetings, lots of people say that I just don't feel like I belong anywhere, right? And I didn't desire to be high or drunk that day. I just felt a part of, right? I felt I was somewhere where I belonged. I didn't feel awkward in any sense. There's no fakeness. I didn't have to pretend anything. Um, and it was a good feeling. It was a good Christmas. I can't complain. I did try to make a video that day. Uh, I wanted to make a video about being an addict on Christmas, and excuse me, for whatever reason I had some trouble putting that together, so I just scrapped it. I guess there's always next year, because it's not always the easiest time for us addicts. But enough about that. Past is past. I want to just read to you today, and today I'm going to read from AA's Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. From the chapter There Is a Solution. I'm going to start on page 21. And I'm going to read from 21 to 25. And it's kind of the definition of what a real alcoholic is. And I'm going to switch out some terms. I can use alcoholic and addict interchangeably. I can use drinking with using, and I can use alcohol with crystal meth, right? So if I do that, you'll know what I mean. Or if I forget, I'm talking about meth too. So, all right, let's get at her. So what about the real alcoholic? He may start off as a moderate user. He may or may not become a continuous hard drinker or user, but at some stage of his using career, he begins to lose all control of his drug consumption once he starts to use. Here's the fellow who has been puzzling you, especially in his lack of control. He does absurd, incredible, tragic things while using. He is a real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He is seldom mildly intoxicated. He is always more or less insanely high. His disposition while using resembles his normal nature but little. He may be one of the finest fellows in the world, yet let him drink for a day and he frequently becomes disgustingly and even dangerously antisocial. He has a positive genius for getting tight at exactly the wrong moment, particularly when some important decision must be made or engagement kept. He is often perfectly sensible and well balanced concerning everything except drugs, but in that respect he is incredibly dishonest and selfish. He often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitudes and has a promising career ahead of him. He uses his gifts to build up a bright outlook for his family and himself, and then pulls the structure down on his head by a senseless series of sprees. He is the fellow who goes to bed so intoxicated he ought to sleep the clock around. Yet, early next morning he searches madly for the bottle or drugs he misplaced the night before. If he can afford it, he may have drugs concealed all over his house to be certain no one gets his entire supply away from him to throw down the waste pipe. As matters grow worse, he begins to use a combination of high powered sedative and liquor to quiet his nerves so he can go to work. Then comes the day when he simply cannot make it and gets drunk or high all over again. Perhaps he goes to a doctor who gives him morphine or some sedative with which to taper off. Then he begins to appear at hospitals and sanitariums. I wrote beside that detox and rehab times 8. This is by no means a comprehensive picture of the true alcoholic, as our behavior patterns vary. But this description should identify him roughly. Why does he behave like this? If hundreds of experiences have shown him that one drink or drug means another debacle with all its attendant suffering and humiliation, why is it he takes that one drink or drug? Why can't he stay on the water wagon? What has become of the common sense and willpower that he still sometimes displays with respect to other matters? Perhaps there will never be a full answer to these questions. Opinions vary considerably as to why the alcoholic reacts differently from normal people. We are not sure why, once a certain point is reached, little can be done for him. We cannot answer the riddle. We knew that while the alcoholic keeps away from drink, as he may do for months or years, he reacts much like other men. We are equally positive that once he takes any alcohol whatsoever into his system, something happens, both in the bodily and mental sense, which makes it virtually impossible for him to stop. The experience of any alcoholic will abundantly confirm this. These observations would be academic and pointless if our friend never took that first drink or drug, thereby setting the terrible cycle in motion. Therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. If you ask him why he started on that last bender, the chances are he will offer you any one of 100 alibis. Sometimes these excuses have a certain plausibility, but none of them really make sense in the light of the havoc of an alcoholic's drinking bout creates. They sound like the philosophy of the man who, having a headache, beats himself on the head with a hammer so that he can't feel the ache. If you draw this fallacious reasoning to the attention of the addict, he will laugh it off or become irritated and refuse to talk. Pardon me. Once in a while, he may tell the truth, and the truth, strange to say, is usually that he has no more idea why he took that first drink or drug than you have. Some drinkers have excuses with which they are satisfied part of the time, but in their hearts, they really do not know why they do it. Once this malady has a real hold, they are a baffled lot. There is the obsession that somehow, someday, they will beat the game, but they often suspect that they are down for the count. How true this is, few realize. In a vague way, their families and friends sense that these drinkers are abnormal, but everybody hopefully waits the day when the sufferer will rouse himself from his lethargy and assert his willpower, his power of will. The tragic truth is that if the man be a real alcoholic, the happy day may not arrive. He has lost control. At a certain point in the drinking of every alcoholic, he passes into a state where the most powerful desire to stop drinking or using is of absolutely no avail. This tragic situation has already arrived in practically every case long before it is suspected. The fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, have lost the power of choice in drink or drug. Our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. We are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. We are without defense against that first drink. The almost certain consequences that follow taking even a glass of beer do not crowd into the mind to deter us. If these thoughts occur, they are hazy and readily supplanted with the old threadbare idea that this time we shall handle ourselves like other people. There's a complete failure of the kind of defense that keeps one from putting his hand on a hot stove. The alcoholic may say to himself in the most casual way, "It won't burn me this time, so here's how." Or perhaps he doesn't think at all. How often have some of us begun to drink in this nonchalant way, and after the third or fourth pounded on the bar and said to ourselves, "For God's sakes, how did I ever get started again?" Only to have that thought supplanted by, "Well, I'll stop with the sixth drink," or "What's the use anyhow?" or "Fuck it." When this sort of thinking is fully established in an individual with alcoholic tendencies, he has probably placed himself beyond human aid, and unless locked up, may die or go permanently insane. These stark and ugly facts have been confirmed by legions of alcoholics throughout history. But, for the grace of God, there would have been thousands more convincing demonstrations. So many want to stop, but cannot. Okay, I'll stop there, and I'll continue on with There is a Solution in another video. Anyways, I hope that gives you a better idea of the alcoholic or the addict. You know, we don't we don't choose to be this way. Something does happen in our mind or body that that prevents us from drinking or using like normal people, right? Some people can use it once and put it down. You know, me as an alcoholic, I can't understand why someone would leave a half empty glass of wine sitting on the table at dinner, right? A normal drinker can do that. Me, that it blows my mind, right? I need to finish that motherfucker. Pardon my language. I'm sorry. Um, but that's just the cold hard truth. So like unless like so I'm fine right now. I'm good as long as I don't put a drug or a drink in my body. But once I start, I don't stop, and that's just the cold hard truth. Anyways, thanks for watching my video. I hope this has been helpful to someone. I love you all. Take care of yourself and have a blessed day. Bye.